Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
You mean shenanigans? No! You're talking about shenanigans, right?
While Jesse finishes up his thing before the intro, I'm going to read a page out of my storybook. Not a page, but a quote.
I'm done.
And for the quote is, "Oh my God, did you just throw up on my dick? Did you just vomit on my fucking dick? Yes, Tucker, yes she did." This is the book I'm reading, and it's really helping me combine my spirituality with myself. There's a lot of dick sucking, and it just gives me a bunch of pointers on how to live a fulfilling single life with a bunch of women. And
Yeah.
that's the good tip before Jesse goes.
What?
Jesse, take it away.
Take it away.
Take it away.
Well, there was... I couldn't think of something to say right off the top of my... Welcome to...
Hey, it's Punk Ass.
And Random Heroes, Cheeky Shenanigans.
So fuckload of shenanigans going on around here.
Yes, there is. My name is Jesse, also known as Random Hero.
I am Nick Carter, aka Punk Ass, because I love Jesse.
And that makes him a punk ass, I guess.
Yep.
This is a very special episode. We've been working on this one for like a year now, and we finally got
Almost
everything all set up.
Yeah.
And we have Adam Ray on as our guest, which is
Finally.
incredible. He was great on the show. He's very accommodating, very nice to me, and very short with Nick, which is exactly what we want.
He made fun of me, which is just great.
He got onto the dynamic real fast.
Yeah.
I mean, by the end of this interview, you literally hear him saying, "Shut up, Nick," which seems to be something everyone says when they do the show or meet you.
I love it. You know, in the beginning of this, I had a very stalkerish vibe with Adam because I had to keep asking him to do it, and then he would call it off because he's busy, so I had to hit him like a few weeks later, and then like a month later, and then it just kept going for like almost a year, like you said, and I started feeling like, should I keep doing this? But I was persistent, and he did it with open arms, and didn't give us any shit about it, so follow your dreams.
Yeah.
Follow your wet dreams into a lovely, lovely life.
And, I mean, you were persistent. You wore him down just like you have with any woman who's ever dated you.
Ah, fuck you, man. You know what? That goes both ways. Fuck you.
Yeah,
All right.
Duly noted and disregarded.
Yeah, that's it.
No, Adam was great. And following this interview, towards the end, he kind of had an idea where we may try to actually set this up to set up a show with him headlining a set at Tony V's.
Yeah.
That he said he'd want us to, come up and be a part of that. So we may try to work that out with him following this episode.
And the funny thing is, I would open up. I'd probably be the first opener, Jesse, and then Adam Ray. The funny thing is, I've never done stand-up yet, so it'd be hilarious me bombing on my first set ever opening up for Adam Ray.
But you see, now when he sees this episode and hears that admission, he's going to be like, yeah, maybe we don't want Nick.
Or maybe he'd be like, oh, this is really going to be a bombshell. I want to watch this. So we'll let him do it.
Or maybe he'll insist that you go after him.
Oh, shit, dude. That would be the worst.
It was cool because he did give me props, and I didn't really think of it this way at the time, because when we did that night with him, he went up, he did about 25 minutes based on some hecklers also kind of delaying his time slot a bit.
Yeah.
He absolutely killed it. It was great. But it was, I mean, even then it was only like my fifth or sixth time ever doing stand-up, and I had to go up right after him. And he did give some props for that. I think it was in part of the interview that we had to cut for audio issues.
Yeah, you were sweating bullets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it was cool. And that, as we talk about in his journey of stand-up, that kind of gets you the respect of your peers in a way. And so...
Yeah, he knows a lot of people. Like he was saying, Sandra Bullock and... that one lady, I forget her name, but she's funny.
Melissa McCarthy?
Yeah.
Because they were in Heat, and he did Heat with them.
Yes. Gary Payton, like he said.
Gary Payton, yeah.
He met Jamie Foxx.
Oh, man, yeah. Bobby Lee, freaking Joe Rogan. He talks about a lot of them.
Bob Saget over at his house.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the whole thing was insane, but he couldn't have been more down to earth and just, like, chill with us. So we're really happy we got to do this interview, and we're really happy it turned out this well.
Yeah.
There are a couple audio issues still, I would say. It could be an internet connection thing, but overall, I think that it turned out pretty good quality, too.
Yeah, see, the problem is we usually have guests over here But we're trying this new program where we can have people video in, so it's a lot easier to get them to do it since they live so far away. So we have been having a little technical difficulties, I think, with the internet connection, slowing down the visual effects and sometimes audio. But other than that, it's only maybe 5 seconds, and then it gets better,
Yeah, and it's definitely leaps and bounds ahead of where it was when we first started this season with Christian. Yeah. And then even with Sierra, there was still some, audio things that have gone on. So it's been a process. And that's what this season's all about, is trying to really expand who we can have on the show and give people a chance to, come do this show from anywhere in the country or the world. Yeah. Which is great during coronavirus, because if he had planned to come here, he wouldn't have been coming here now still.
Well, what do you mean?
Originally,
he wanted to come in the end of April.
Yeah, which is most likely probably not going to happen with everything going on right now.
Yeah, so I did my stalkerish thing again. I was like, hey, why don't you do the video thing instead, since the coronavirus is here? He was like, all right. And then technically we were supposed to do it last night. We had some hiccups, but today's better because he did it for longer.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, almost a whole hour, which is a lot more than we thought we were going to get. And just a great guy, super funny. And you just hear a lot of the inner workings of someone who's done some really great things with TV work and stand-up and all that. To really get to hear kind of his journey and his process, it was really cool, I thought.
He's fucking hilarious the whole time. Yeah. And you should really enjoy it and really watch all of it.
So with no more adieu.
Yeah.
Adieu.
Adieu.
Shut up, Nick.
Adieu.
Hadouken.
Hadouken.
With no more Hadouken.
Hadouken. Oh, dookie.
Here's our interview with Adam Ray. Enjoy.
Adam Ray. And pop.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was insane. That was one of the first times I'd seen I'd never seen a car flip like that. It was definitely like Fast and Furious, out of the movies type thing, like a cinematic car, and then to land in the directly. I mean, it was like, also it kind of bobbed and weaved through the other cars that were speeding down the freeway to not run into another car. So that was crazy.
Wow. And we know that he's departed ALN, but we've both been listening for a while now, pretty much ever since I learned you exist.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud.
And I always wanted to know, as someone who also does comedy and a podcast, do you ever try out material or develop material on the podcast that you then try on stage or vice versa? Or?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was, to me, I always would tell Brad that because, I'd make a list of things to that we wanted to talk about when there were podcasts that were just Brad and I. And then we kind of we would do it. I could tell when we would bring things up when it was, again, just him and I, and we needed to, we could literally have nothing written down or two things, but we'd always make a map for the guest, and then we either hit a lot of the questions or we wouldn't, depending on who they were and how well we knew them, or if the conversation just flowed so organically we didn't even hit stuff on it, or the questions, popped up in the moment because we were so, engaged. But, Brad and I had back and forth that we could have one thing written down to talk about, and that would spawn off 9 different topic conversations. I think we both at least bits in because we knew we were good yes anders. We knew for the sake of comedy and for the podcast that we would want to, tag or add on to whatever we were discussing. And then I think we started to mention it where afterwards I'd be like, there's something there, and he'd vice versa do it for me. And then I think we both just actively were doing it where it's like, if there were things that we were thinking about throughout the week, and it was just he and I, what better opportunity to do that? And, you obviously you got to, though, mask it in that it's still just, fun dialogue you're having with your buddy, so that, if you're truly bringing it up in a way that's like, people are like, all right, these guys are just working bits on each other. I mean, look, I think people also would probably enjoy that part of it. But, I used to do that when I first did open mics. I was hosting this radio show when I went to acting school at USC, and I weaseled my way into the radio station and lied about all this radio experience. So they would give me because they wanted you to intern for 8 months before you got a show, and it was all student run, and there were no comedy shows. And I was like, this plays on the internet. Like my friends in Seattle can listen, and it was I think like 90 a.m. in Los Angeles, and it was I weaseled my way into the midnight to 2 a.m. slot on Sunday night, and I was like this British character that was new to the States, and I would work out any sort of joke type shit that I had. I would make this list, and I would just kind of talk it out on air. And it was a great tool for that. And then I wouldn't screen calls. That's ultimately what got me in trouble, because I'd have friends calling drunk from their frat. I'd be like, all right, we're going to now go to John Robeson, who's calling from Sigma Chi right now in the University of Washington. John, you're on right now with Miles Bonfather. Go ahead. And he'd be like, man, I'm fucked up, dude. There's so much pussy. There's so much pussy in this house right now. Dude, I'm swimming in it, dude. I need to borrow some swim trunks, dog. And I'm like, all right, that's all from John Robeson calling from Sigma Chi. Sounds like they're having a little bit too much fun up there. And eventually the students, by the way, that ran the studio were like, dude, you can't, like, it's too much. And it sucked because it was it was such a missed opportunity to not have a comedy show on the college radio station. But, it was 6 weeks. I'll never forget it. But again, I definitely think I used that later in life with the pod to try to, and you want to do the radio is, I try to challenge myself to not do bits on radio. Sometimes though, man, the people, like there's a show, KUPD in Arizona, that's kind of like the Stern of Phoenix, and they have a huge audience. Anytime you do shows in Arizona, if you can get on the show, it's killer. I've gotten to be good friends with them. Big celebrity charity show that they did at the Celebrity Theater, which is like a 3,000 seat theater. In December, it was me and Frank Caliendo and Brian Cowan, and then Chris D'Elia was in town visiting his girl's family, so he surprised and came on. I helped him kind of orchestrate surprising Cowan on stage. Yeah. And so that was really cool. But so those guys put that together. But when you go on their show, it's like I don't plan shit because it's just like a free fall. If you're good at riffing and pushing the envelope, then they're going to set you up to win. But there are some shows where you're like, I'm getting nothing from the other side, and I need to.
Do you still get like starstruck at all? Like being around all these different comedians or actors? I mean, I don't know, man. It's because I feel like you're like all in the group now, so you're like it's normalized.
Yeah, you're there. You're in.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think having people on. Like when Bob Saget first came to my apartment when we did the podcast out of there, that was crazy. When interviewing Gary Payton at a weed shop, 6 months ago, that was
a great episode.
I'll be honest. Starstruck. Oh, thanks, man. Starstruck for that one for sure. But also, I'd met Gary at the Celebrity All-Star Game, and honestly, man, I've been fortunate to have enough cool things happen. I was very starstruck when I met Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy, and that was kind of the first thing that made me step back and go, all right, I'm on a different path now, hopefully. But then again, once you get to know people at that level, man, they are just brought back down to earth. And
interesting.
It's also a testament to them. Like they were so, they went out of their way to just be, I don't know, man, they were just so cool. So, I mean, it's maybe I've just been fortunate to run to people like that, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people like Chris, who I, pretty much started with and then getting to know guys like, if you're talking about the big dudes, even Rogan now, starstruck when I first was around him at the clubs, but now, every time he sees me, he knows my name, high five, we'll chat for 5-10 minutes about whatever, and then we're on the same lineup. So it's like, I was starstruck when I met Joel McHale because I was such a fan of The Soup and Almost Live, the sketch show that he was on that was in Seattle, in the 90s.
Yeah.
So, and now to be homies with him is pretty cool. But so it happens here and there. I mean, when Brad and I were in the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game, actually, like meeting Shaq was crazy. Guy Fieri, we took tequila shots with after the game. That was kind of crazy. We're sitting there in the hotel lobby with my girlfriend and Brad and my two buddies from Seattle that came out, and Jamie Foxx just walked through the lobby, and one of my buddies who's just married, kids with 3 kids, like. It's just all to him to even when he's been in certain situations that I've put him in. So Jamie Foxx walks by and he just goes, "Holy shit, Jamie Foxx!"
Keep it cool, man.
Yeah, and then Jamie Foxx was like, "What's up, man?" He just came over and he started talking to us. And my buddy was wearing this cool Sonics hat and shirt because we had just gone to the All-Star Saturday night, and they put us, because Brad and I played, so they gave us seats for the game and the three-point dunk contest, and our seats were right behind the bench. So if you watch the dunk contest, my buddies, Colin and Anthony, were wearing Sonics gear, and there was a member of the OKC Thunder that was in the contest. So every time they cut him on the bench, my buddies were right behind him in Sonics gear, so they were getting blown up on Twitter. Everyone's like, look at these two guys. Look at these two Sonics guys trolling the Thunder, But yeah, man, I mean, it's because again, it's just what reps and being in it, and once you are on enough shows and you've done, I mean, look, everyone wants respect from their peers. It's kind of, you want that group of fans that's with you and gonna continue to provide you to, with opportunities to like do cool shit. But yeah, man, like getting on. Like Joey Diaz had me on his podcast a little bit ago, and we were doing a show in the main room of the Comedy Store. And Joey and I have known each other for again, probably close to 10 years. He's seen since I started. And
did he make you smoke weed?
Dude, I didn't do a Death Star though, because I would probably not be here right. But like that guy, that guy is just he can consume pot on a different level. But he brought up this thing about how I came in to the green room, and Joey came in, and Burr popped in, and Bill Burr was going to go on next. So then it would have been me, and then I was bringing up Joey, and Joey was like, "Adam Ray, he's like, do you want to go? Do you want me to go first? Do you want me to go after Burr? Do you want to follow Burr, or do you want me to go?" And I was like, "No, man, I'm supposed to go. I'm supposed to go next. I'll follow him, And again, having done enough shit, and like we were talking about earlier, and following comics that you didn't think you were ready for, and you weren't ready for, but you just kind of, welcomed the challenge and stepped up, and it didn't even bat an eye. I was just like, no, I want to. I'll ride that energy, and I know what I can do, and this is my home club, and it'll be great. And I just not doing it was not even an option. And Joey was like, all right, good fucking answer. And then I did my thing. It was a fucking killer set, and then I brought up Joey, and it was like just this boom, boom, boom of just fucking the crowd was hot, and Joey brought it up on Rogan's podcast, and then he had me on. He hit me up the next week and was like, "You got to come on. I want to talk about that." And then that was a cool moment. And he told Rogan about it, and Rogan was like, "Yeah, fucking Adam Ray's the shit." And then so that was like a thing where I was like, "God damn, Rogan!" But so there's all those things that are always like, you need like these little victories and little validations as you go through, because when you're just putting your fucking head down and just grinding away, you can kind of get lost in like where it is that you're even wanting to get to and how you're getting there. Because if you don't enjoy any of it, then it's like, what's the point of even doing it? You don't go one day and be like, "Oh, I'm doing." Madison Square. Sorry, I got the virus. Do a Madison Square Garden, and not even have enjoyed the struggle to get there. But it's. I still do. To answer your question, it was a long-winded answer, but I still
totally fine, dude.
I still do. I mean, I reposted a tweet. Mike Rappaport's a homie of mine, and he posted something, and I commented and retweeted it, and fucking John Cusack did it. So then I followed John Cusack, and I was like, "God, should I fucking send him a message right now?" It's one of my favorite actors. I do that only because 3 months when Gwyneth Paltrow with the China scented candles, I posted on Instagram and made a joke being like, I was like, "Oh, well, some dude should definitely follow suit and jump on the bandwagon." And I was like, "What guy would do actually make a killing?" And I was like, "Oh, The Rock would probably make a ball candle and people would buy it."
Yeah.
I made this post and tagged The Rock. Next thing you know, I started getting blown up on Instagram by people being like, "How the fuck do you know The Rock?" Everybody knows The Rock.
I remember seeing that. Yeah,
I've seen The Tooth Fairy 10 times in theaters, and
it's a good movie.
So I look at my great dude, and I go, especially on my Instagram, and I look at the comments, and The Rock commented below, and he was like, "Brother, I've been trying to get this for years." Blah, like I've been trying to. You have to go back and look at the comment, and then I'm like, "Holy!" And then I look at my thing, and then he followed me.
Yeah.
And like 300 people, and he's got 415 million followers. So then I'm like, I mean, should I put up, make sure you got a stand-up clip right away on your feed. So if he looks at your shit, he can see that. And he loves comedy. Like, he retweeted Ron Funches and told me that he's had dialogue with him through Twitter.
Yeah.
So that I geeked out hard for. Immediately, overly fucking eager, shot him a message. Was like, everyone to do the podcast. And
that was not unlike how we got you,
respond.
ultimately. That's kind of what we did was I had talked to you that night after the show,
Yeah,
and then we were just like, hey, would you ever want to come do this? And 6 months later, and Nick not respecting any boundaries, here you are.
Sorry, man. I had to do it.
Hey, dude, but you got to stay active. It's booking podcast guests is a nightmare, and it's like it's only on you. And like we were gonna do it, but yeah, man, it's like timing is everything, and you just have to stay on people. And
Well, I felt weird after a little while. I was like, "Fuck, man, I'm just gonna keep doing it, and then hopefully he does it."
That's how he gets girlfriends too.
Yeah. Well, what's it? Yeah. What
was that?
How's that worked out with the girlfriends?
It's I've been used and abused, and now I'm single. It's all good.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's been having a bit of a rough go. And
Yeah.
and I've always
All right,
wanted
man,
to
there's
tell
plenty
you
of
one
fish.
thing. Now that I've really become familiar with your voice on your podcast and your stand-up sets,
Yeah.
number one, you sound like H. John Benjamin on Prozac, which I love his voice work, so it's always a treat to listen to you.
Oh
And-
man. Wait, that's Archer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've gotten that. I don't have a reference for that.
That's
Is
exactly
it great?
Yeah. Fucking perfect. But I also wanted to know, like, because you mentioned that you consider a lot of these more famous people like your peers now, which is accurate. But I was wondering, was there a moment, whether in comedy or on the podcast or whatever, when you suddenly viewed them as peers instead of like as a tier above you or something like that? Was there that moment for you where you're like, yeah, okay, now I'm part of this group or something?
Yeah, good one. That's a nice one.
Yeah, I think. Like you guys right now, you're peers. You can tell that you're actual friends.
Occasionally,
Even though I can barely see Nick's face on the screen, so I don't know if that was strategic on your part, being
It
like,
is.
dude, once you are really part of the show, there you go, dude.
There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
you
was
got to know where the
slouching.
camera is, dude. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, man, it's you again, like just doing it and not making time. I mean, truly not having a plan B that it's going to take away from your plan A, and being willing to sacrifice friendships and relationships and social life, and just the amount of times that I've stayed late at a comedy club and found myself in a circle with people that I hadn't really chummed it up with before, and now I've had that. So now next time I go to the club, it's even cooler. Like even just I've just started to become kind of chummy with Ken Jeong just from being on a bunch of shows with him and going out of my way to chum it up with him and him. I think, look, again, someone sees you do your thing and they dig you. That is like, then that's an equalizer.
Yeah.
So that's always cool. But I went on tour with Dan Cook this past year, and
I was there.
I'd slowly kind of gotten to know, Paramount was dope, and slowly gotten to become friends with him. And that was one of those things where I remember specifically because the Laugh Factory, man, I signed up for open mics there way back when. You do 3 minutes, then you come back like 5 months later and try to do another 3 minutes. And then I, got a couple guest spots on shows, and then would go by myself a lot to watch Dane and other guys when Dane was on the Uprise, and just being around the club and like kind of starting to commit to being in that world. And I remember it was such a big deal when I started kind of get to know Dane. He started to know my name when I'd get on shows with him, and then finally I would always go earlier in the lineup, and he would go towards the end and close it out. And so I remember the first time I was before him, and then he was going to be after me. I was like, all right, well, there's a chance he's going to see me. And it was great, and I did my thing, and he not only gave me props right before he went up, but then did it on stage. And that was such a cool moment because, again, it's like you go, oh, cool, now. And then guess what? After that, we'd already kind of started to develop a little rapport. But again, it's like once somebody respects you and sees you doing your thing and goes, all right, like it makes you're that much more appealing to someone, which is just how it is. But so yeah, I think that matters. But I also think, dude, like when people can recognize in you that you're as Nick Swartzen has said a lot, like just a member of the tribe and like it, putting in the time and the work and that you've gone through the grind of what stand-up requires.
Yeah.
When you can, understand that someone's done that, there's a respect level there for sure. That's got to be first and foremost. And then, being funny and not being a piece of shit, being, somewhat social. And like, even if you're not, like putting yourselves in these situations to be out of your comfort zone, and then like, don't take yourself too seriously, be able to like hang with anybody. Like, it's just, it's a true community, so but unfortunately all that stuff does matter. It's like, and not that you need to be the fucking life of the party wherever you go and the person in your group that is always the funniest, but like, hey man, you want to be likable, and that goes a long way. And that's, people see that and they get a taste of that and they want to invite you to this thing and they want you to do this, or hey, you're pretty funny, but I like you a lot, so come do the show with me because it'll be a fun drive to go do this. Like all that stuff matters. So I think that answered your question.
Yeah. It's just cool to hear the process too, because with so many of these other comedians, I'm only speaking for myself here, but it's hard to sometimes feel a kinship or a connection to them because you think, oh, well, they started over in New York, where I can't even imagine what it's like to do clubs there. But a guy like you literally came from like the same side of the same state as us, much of the same things that have gone on, we're roughly the same age and all that. You're someone that we could easily relate to as well. And along with you doing so much crowd work in your set, like that just makes you like super easy to relate to and kind of, want to follow more. And that's one reason why we wanted to get you on so much.
Yeah, you can handle hecklers really well.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that when you said you started to kind of look stuff up and see that was kind of like, a part of my thing. It's Harlan Williams. I was just talking to him the other day, and he, to me, he was like the GOAT of crowd work. He's and when the first time I hung out with him, he was hosting for him at Laughs Comedy Club when it was in Kirkland, and he's just was one of my favorites. And I hit up Dave. I was like, "You gotta come. I'll fly myself up, stay with my folks. You gotta let me host that weekend. I wanna be able to kick it with Harlan and talk comedy with him. And I know that I'll stay there late and drink. We'll hang." Whatever. That's what happened every night. We became buds after that. And that's, again, like something that I think you got to always be thinking of, like to put yourself in positions like that to soak up experiences, but and get better. Just got better just from being around him and hanging with him, talking comedy, and then open for him on a handful of dates after that. So it would like prove to be like a worthwhile hang. But he said he was always afraid of doing it, and he wasn't listening when he would like have interactions with people. And that truly is a big part of it. It's like trusting yourself that you can make a moment funny, but really, when I first started, somebody would say something and I in my head just be like, man, you got to come up with something funny. There's too much silence. And I wasn't listening.
Where I think you're starting to heckle and the wife said her husband just died, I think, and it threw you off. Yeah. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Was that hard?
Here's the thing, and I want to stop you. Like, it didn't throw me off. What I did was I played the moment real. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was like I knew I was going to be able to get through that, but yeah, that's obviously like a fucking curveball when you're saying, "How's your holidays going?" And she goes, "Bah humbug." And I was like, "Oh, what's got you down in the dumps so this early on?" And she's like, "Well, my husband just died. I'm a widow of 4." And then I just kind of took a beat and was like, "Fuck, all right." And then people started laughing, and it was like. Again, like I and even at that point, that was probably 5-6 years ago. I wasn't as savvy as I think I am now, but like I also knew it took me, had I not had so many reps of it not going well and having things like that, not with somebody who just brings up a death out of nowhere, but enough times where I'd, dug too much or rolled the dice and got into fun, but then pressed too much and then it got weird or didn't do it enough. You just get enough of those reps to where you go, all right, I think I know how to navigate through this. And I was like, all right, whatever happens next, like you got to play the moment real and people respect that too. If I had kind of been like, Jesus Christ, fucking what, like, and been out of the gate kind of abrasive, people would have been like, dude, like chill. But people could tell that people could tell that that was like, a lot of information to take in. Yeah. And I played it real, and then I made a joke, and then I started kind of working through it with her. And then what was funny is what I've learned is when you keep the audience on your side, you do have jurisdiction to kind of slam them later if you need to. because then you see in that clip, like, I kind of really am playing the empathy card and being like, oh, you're gonna find people. There's more guys out there, and you just got to keep it. And then she started to talk over me, and I was like, hey, fucking shut the fuck up. You had your time. You get it. You're by yourself. This might have something to do with it, And
See, that's fucking good, man. I don't know how you.
You got to ask him.
Yeah, but again, it's just all reps, dude. I mean, it's like you just got it. Like again, it's now. I feel like there's truly nothing I can't handle, and I'm about to post a clip actually right now on my Instagram. When I headline on the road, I'll sometimes bring a keyboard guy or a guitar guy, and basically do the crowd work stuff, but in musical form, right? Where we're making up songs off the audience, and there's a handful of clips. Again, if you type in, there's one I just did from Helium in Portland a few months ago, but it's pretty fucking killer. But this one I'm going to post right now, the music is great. This girl was just drunk, screaming shit out. Yeah. And then started talking with the guy again through songs. So we're asking about, you have a lot more room to get away with shit when it's through song, because if the crowd's into it, as they usually are, like, it's tougher for people to really come back at you. But this woman was getting real combative, and then we started harmonizing this beautiful harmony to the dude about how much she cost for the night. Yeah, and the whole crowd's kind of in, and it was pretty great. But again, dude, it's all listening, and it's all just enough, like anything, enough times of doing something poorly to where you just hopefully go, fuck, man, I saw that. Now if I see that again, I'll hopefully know how to remember and be a little more confident to do it better next time. And that's why stand-up is so great. There's no replacement for the work. Like, if you aren't giving up enough to do that. I mean, dude, as many, I think about all the positive crowd work times at this point, but I also do not forget, like, the times where I made shit real weird by getting personal or not keeping it funny or getting too quick into something. Yeah, and losing my cool, dude. I haven't done it in a long time, but dude, I mean, there was a time in Reno I got into it with these Trump supporters to where when they walked out and the guy hit me in the back of the head, it was probably an 80-year-old couple, and the guy, they looked like they were in their 50s, but they were 80, which came up in the show, and again, I kept trying to kill it with kindness, and then I should have just ignored them because you always have a choice, but I doubled down. And then it got weird, and then the whole show was weird, and I kind of saved it. And on the way out, people were probably like, sorry about those guys, and that's all they were fucking like leaving the show with. Yeah. And the guy hit me in the back of my head, and I literally said, like, rotten hell, you and your fat fucking I said something like really, dude, it was like, and I was so like upset for a good, 2 days because I was like, oh, that was not. You're better than that. Like, my buddy who was opening for me was like, you handled that perfectly. They were assholes. I'm like, nah, I didn't handle it perfectly, man. That's how an amateur would handle it. Like, better than that. And I'm glad that I went through that though, man, because it was like, I've had moments since then where there were opportunities to Louisville, whether you've just given someone chances and they don't want to take the hint, where you're like talking to them to use them to go back into the bit, or go back to them and try to kill it with kindness. There have been times where I'm just like, dude, I don't have any more chances in me. And, but then I still try to, again, either ignore it, use it, or hopefully the staff is doing their job and we'll just kind of take care of it for you. But they always ask me, they're like, we know what you like to do. Like, you give us a signal, because only a few times have I been like right out of the gate, been like, you gotta go, which I know a lot of comics do, but I think it's made me a better comic, and again, knowing how much you can actually get from a moment like that, and how much more the crowd like digs you as a comic if you can pull it off, I think is a cool thing to have in your pinky,
Now, Jesse wants me to ask a question that we usually ask all of our guests.
Every single guest.
Yeah. It's a cheeky shenanigan question. It is, do you have like a most memorable, embarrassing sex story that you kept inside and you've always wanted to tell it to the world?
We've told multiple versions of our own many times. We can share another with you if it helps. But
Finnegan got farted in the face.
Yeah, Christian Finnegan, he told a story about getting farted in his face. Yeah.
While he was 69ing?
It was more of like there's...
honestly, I don't really remember the exact context. We've had some really, really gross ones. He had friends over,
and the friends were like making out, and they wanted to get him and his girlfriend to kind of maybe do like a 4-way.
Like a group sex thing.
And the girl went over to crawl over Finnegan to grab something, and she farted in his face, and then he told him to leave and shit like that.
They went home crying or something.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'm
But
gonna
I
top
mean, maybe
that.
you and Brad Williams were like in a 3-way. You got jizz in your eye. Some story like that. I don't know.
Boy,
Nick assumes you do everything with him.
Look at you guys just closing things out on such a highbrow note.
Yeah. That's what we're all about here. Classy comedy.
I just saw such a window into Nick's just like daily Google searches, by the way. Like dwarf cum shot, click. Oh, I already searched that. Dude. Fuck, man.
This is the first time he's asked it in comedy context, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, since I know my mom won't listen to this.
No one will.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know, dude.
I can edit it and just like boost the post, and then everybody can watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. But and that's why I respect you.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think. I did a weird story. I was in Austin, Texas, and I was opening Bobby Lee. And
Bobby Lee.
This is back in the day when you're willing to take an hour cab ride away from where you're staying to go try to get laid. And I remember getting to this girl's place, and she was having like a little bit of a house party. Yeah. And roommates were there, and just seemed like a fun hang. And I was like, there was no Uber, so I was like, it's like 2010, 11, and I was like, oh, I'll get a cab back. Maybe she'll take me back. We all get fucked up. It's 4 or 5 in the morning. Her and I start having fun in the kitchen, and everyone's passed out. And then all of a sudden I hear a babe, and I was like, I know that wasn't for me. And she goes, oh, fuck. And I was like, well, who's that? Your dad? And she's like, not exactly. And I was like, oh, shit. So I grabbed my shit and booked it and got chased down the street of their fucking apartment complex by apparently her guy and his buddy. And and man, I don't think you truly know what you're capable of physically until you just, hightail it. By the way, I left my shoes. So I don't know why they came off, by the way. I was in the kitchen. Like, you can definitely keep your shoes on if you're doing what we were doing in the kitchen. But they were off. And so I booked it barefooted. And man, it was the closest I think I felt outside of a car that I was like, oh, I'm going to die. Like, because the guy's buddy was the guy himself, but again, it's 5 a.m., dude. You're coming off of some heavy petting. And so you're starting to you're thinking that your brain is not in go mode as far as survival, defend yourself. And his buddy looked like the type of guy that was just like, if I don't fucking kill somebody before 6 a.m., dude, this weekend was a wash, So I was hightailing it, and then they just finally just stopped. And then, I must have walked for a while, got somewhere, called Bobby. He had the club come get me. And so that was,
if you think about it,
that's the first one that came to mind. It was pretty scary.
Fucking losing your shoes probably made you run faster. So this is probably a good timing.
You'd think.
Yeah.
You'd think. I like that that's what you pulled from that story.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to wonder what happened when they got back to the house, because obviously the girl had you there at her house knowing full well that him and his friends were there asleep. I wonder how that went after you ran away, Well,
no, they came. They the door, so they weren't there.
They came.
There was no sign of. Oh. And also, it's like, I don't know. I would like to think that. I don't know, man. He was throwing the babe word around, and she freaked out. So that to me seems like they'd probably been together longer than a month. But and so, but just all random people and friends, and I didn't, summed it up. It's one of those house parties that you're just kind of mixing it up with a handful of people, but not really getting anywhere socially other than with the person you're trying to get to know. And so, man, that was those are the kind of stories and moments you only feel like you hear about in movies or, you know, just the whole like slipping out the window, falling off the roof.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
she tosses your pants and shirt and fucking jean shorts out the, you know, out the fucking window, and you put them together, and the guy's out there like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
So it was crazy just to be a part of that, and that was kind of. I remember Bobby telling the story. He just laughed and like. He's like, yeah, dude. He's like, this is why I don't drink, and I don't. He's like, you could have just stayed with me. We went to Maggiano's. We had a nice fucking caprese salad. You could have just gone home and jerked off like I did. I was like, all right. I didn't ask what you were doing, but Bobby always. Remember one time he would always hold gigs above my head. So like we were in Miami, and he was like, I told him I hate oysters. He's like, you got to eat 20 oysters, or I'm not taking you to San Jose, Phoenix, and Seattle. And I was like, God damn it, man! I'm like, come on. He's like, you got to do it. So he ate like 6 and was just about to throw up, and then he's just crying. All right, you don't have to do it anymore. But I remember one time too. I think he won maybe $10,000 at the casino at the Hard Rock in Fort Lauderdale.
Just playing like slot machines.
And I was gone with a gal, and he didn't have his ID, so he needed me to run over real quick and sit down and act like I was me, so I could cash in. So they came over and they couldn't cash his chips in, and man was he pissed. And he was like, fucking, dude. And after that, he was like, you're never leaving my side again when we do gigs. Like, this is fucking, he was so pissed.
I feel like that's the kind of person I would be in his position if I was at that level and had some money and some gigs to throw around. I would totally be making my friends, you know, like Nick, I'd totally be making you eat gross things or, you know, just doing embarrassing stuff. And like, do you want to open or what? You know,
I'd do it.
That's exactly who I would be. Yeah. I'm
I'd
little Bobby Lee over here.
Yeah. I mean,
why shouldn't you think about that stuff already?
There's no reason to.
But no,
but
for real.
For real.
No, dude, there is. You want to, I mean, dude, when Bobby treated me so well, paid for everything, gave me extra cash, and like, I feel like I do, you know, a really solid job of taking care of my openers. And that's only because I saw how it was done by a true pro. And that's, you know, and everyone says that who's open for Bobby, of how, you know, sweet and kind he is and how well he does it. And that's what you should do, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you're only making $1,500 a weekend, you shouldn't be buying steak dinners every weekend for everybody. But I mean, I try to always, like, you know, take the host and my opener and whoever else that we've been kicking it with out for something and do fun stuff, you know?
Is $1,500 for a weekend not good, or?
No, it is, depending on where you're at. No, it's fine. I mean, that's what I was doing when I started, and that's like a good. I mean, shit. I mean, if they're money and you're getting $1,500 and they pay for your flight and hotel, then walking home with that, you know, and whatever else you sell in merch. So, but I'm just saying, like, if you're, you know, when I was making that, you know, you know, if I wanted to bring an opener, some clubs. Would have their lot of them when you're starting out. Well, they would have their own, so they go, well, if you want to bring them, then you got to bring them out. They go, we'll put them up, but you have to get the flight. So so if that's between $300 to $400 for a flight for your opener, and then you're taking people out to a dinner too, all of a sudden you've taken $600 out of your $1,500. Yeah. So you know, and that's why. But Bobby was making cash, so he was like fucking panini for everybody, you know. Just
good old Bobby Lee,
just painting the town.
Dude, well, thank you so much. I'm sure that you've got some other things that you need to get to. We've taken a lot more of your time.
Yeah, it's all good. Have we done? Did we do? No, it's fine. I wanted to make sure we did it right and got you the full time. Is that good?
Yeah,
that's good. That's fucking awesome. So I mean, you probably won't be hearing from me anymore, which is sad. But
we'll tag you and we'll let you know when it's up. You know.
Well, once comes, we'll hopefully get another show done.
Yeah.
I told whoever it was that got me out there that I was like, it'd be good. Do a few like actually promoted shows if I'm home for a Friday, Saturday out there. I mean, shit, that little spot could hold maybe 60, 70 people.
Just
in that little area
on that side,
And they've got the main stage area also. I mean, you could probably get a couple hundred people in there if it was promoted the right way. And we know those guys too. So if you want help setting up a real show there, I'd love to help you.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah. You guys can jump on it and all that. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Let's quickly talk about your tattoos. I'm at the point where I am possibly wanting to get maybe a little I don't know, maybe a little sleeve or maybe a little like something here just to fucking cover up the lack of triceps, you know?
Yeah, that's what I did.
So
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
What do you?
being
Yeah,
sarcastic? Because I feel like you don't have any tattoos at all. Zippo.
yeah. Nick, was that a real fucking sentence, dude? Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have any tattoos. I said I'm thinking about getting one. So if you could, fucking dude, did you eat a bong before you fucking sat down with us tonight?
No, this is just me in general.
He doesn't even like use weed because he can't for his job. So this is just Nick, and you've picked up on the dynamic with him quickly.
Yeah. Everybody does, so it's okay. It's all right. They usually
That's fine though. It's the worst things to be stereotyped for, you know.
Yes. What did you want to know about the tattoos?
Well, I just want to know like any sort of significance or what was the thought process in making your selections, because right now I don't want to go with the standard like mom or I almost drunkenly when I was in Bloomington, Indiana once doing a club that was there for like 3 months, I met this couple who were swingers, but they wanted to open up their tattoo parlor at 3 a.m. and get I wanted my niece's names above my chest, and they were going to do it at 3 a.m. and I'm calling my buddies. Or he called me and he's like, "Where are you going?" I go, "I just met this swinger couple. They're going to open their tattoo parlor. I'm going to get my niece's names on my chest." He goes, "No, you're not." I go, "You're right. Thanks for calling."
It's fucked up because I have my daughter's name on my chest. And he's like,
but that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's your daughter. That's like, I don't want to, I want something more as a, if I get kids, I'll for sure probably go that route. But what's a cool thing I can do as an uncle that's not just.
Fucking stand-up comedy for life, just put that on there.
So I'll give you the rundown on my sleeve, which isn't done yet. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a thorn bush. And the quick version is when you meet someone for the first time, it's really easy to put on your best face and, just show them your petals, if you will, like the top of the rose, all the nice bits. You just want people to like you and see the nice things about you, the good things. But everyone has the thorns underneath that they like to hide until you really get to know them and you discover the shit. So I literally tattooed my arm with a thorn bush to remind myself, like, be real at all times. Doesn't matter if people like you or not, as long as you are who you really are. And that's kind of the significance with that one.
It's a really good story. I love that.
It's a little too genuine right now.
Wow, dude. He's fucking... What if I just started crying?
I mean, that would be awesome.
I mean, that was deep. That was way more profound than I thought you were going to come at me with. But
this one's just a Captain America shield, so there's a variance.
See, that's what I'm looking for, dude.
Yeah.
You got one serious one for the world, and you got the fucking me. This is what I call a me tattoo, right? You got that for you.
Yep. And it hurt like a bitch.
I mean, you can get a spider web elbow tattoo like everybody else does.
Wolverine Universal Studios, maybe get a Wolverine claw there.
There it is.
Right?
Yeah, that's it.
There it is.
But then people are gonna think that they're gonna be like, "Oh, you fucking love X-Men." I'm like, "Nah, I just played one at a theme park and got harassed by fat Latino women."
People can identify with that.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Well, dude,
cool.
Thank you so much.
They look good.
Yeah.
Of course, dude. This was a blast. Good luck to you guys.
Yeah.
And to you too.
It.
You're doing ALN without Brad now, and I hope you're able to still keep that going. And we love that show as well.
Check that out. Also check out thanks, Dad. And
you're gonna be great, dude. You're gonna fucking make it way up there. Okay, you're not even at the peak.
Nick, shut up. There's you can also check out Fourth and Forever, which is my sports comedy podcast with Mark Sanchez, and then my album Read the Room is out on Spotify and iTunes. And I'm gonna be in a new cartoon with the guys who created Robot Chicken. Are coming out with a new show that I'm a voice on. It's called Crossing Swords. It's like a filthy medieval time show, but it's all animation. And it's me, Seth Green, Tony Hale, Breckenmeyer, and it'll be on Hulu. I think it comes out June 5th.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I can't wait for that. That's awesome. What's the name of that one again? Crossing Swords?
Crossing Swords, yeah.
Okay.
It's really fucking funny. So,
yeah. So everyone check that out. Adam, thank you so much for doing our show today.
Wash your hands, wash your butt,
Yeah, especially around Nick,
Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what, dude? That's it.
Too soon.
All right, take it easy, man. Thank you.
All right, see you, fellas. I'll see you soon,
You mean Shenanigans? No! You're talking about Shenanigans, right?